than just. This is Gem Stitch here, and this is my January, February of 2017 update. Thank you to all my subscribers, and thank you to any new subscribers that are joining me today to talk about what I've been up to since my last video, which was mid-January. I've actually been up to quite a bit. I'm not that, as you can hear, I wasn't that well. I actually had last week off as a holiday and spent most of it being sick, which seems about right. I'm hoping that the light is okay again. Obviously based in the UK, we've got sunshine shining through in February, but it's a little bit intermittent at the moment, so I have actually got my desk light on, and hopefully it might be a bit bright, but it may be drowning me out. So, but as long as the stitching looks okay, that's fine. So what have I been up to? Well, I've got one finish. I'm a lot further on a project than I first expected, so hopefully by my next update I will have a finish there as well. I'll be talking about my what I'm going to be doing in March stitch along, and just stuff like that really. So let's get started. So my first update, I should really follow on from what I was doing last month. So last month my focus piece was New Year, New Start, being January, and my choice for that was the Peony Pixie by Nora Corbett, which looks like this. Now, I really like the Nora Corbett Pixies, and as already discussed, I will be working on them on a Monday, so I haven't worked on her yet, but I will be working on her today. So really most of this progress was done last month, where she was actually a focus piece, but I will be working on her on any Mondays that I get to stitch, and so far this month that's been 2, because I was away at the beginning of the month and I didn't stitch on her on that Monday. So here is where you last saw her, and I'll insert the picture here, and this is where she is now. So really not, I can't remember where she was in the last video, but not too much different, and I'm really coming down, working into this part, really just got the dress left to do. Her skin is stitched 1/1, and obviously I've included, I don't know whether she'll sparkle because of the lighting, but I have included some of the krennic that's up here, and she's got some more little whirly bits of krennic coming down here as well, so I'll put them in towards the end, and then I'll do the beading. I do apologise about my cat, he has issues. Don't we all? But he seems to have serious mummy issues. So, oh, just for the I will put all the information in the information box down below, but just for the record, this is on 32 count, and it's on a hand dyed by Sparklies, and it's called Ocean Depths, and it is a linen, so it's a Belfast linen that I'm stitching her on. But I'm really pleased with the colours and how they pop on the fabric. Always a little bit of a risk as such when you choose to stitch something on quite a dark contrasting fabric, but I think this actually works, so I'm really pleased. So I'll be working on her today after I've uploaded the video and done other stuff. So what else was I up to? I did manage to get a finish. It was only a little finish. I actually finished the stitching last month with my plan to have her on my trunk downstairs. I have like a trunk which I use to put flower arrangements and things of the season, and it already has my my little pillow, which was from the Primitive Hare pattern, the Awakening, downstairs, and I also stitched the Valentine one But I literally just got it finished. I finished it on the 13th, on Monday the 13th. So, but yeah, so here is my finish. So I'm really pleased with it. I really like the awkward kind of long length of the pillow for this one. And I just added a little wooden heart, and I had some little drop bead pearls, which I just attached. So that was on my sort of the equivalent of a console table, but my trunk, I don't have a console table, I have a trunk, downstairs, obviously for Valentine's Day and a little bit after, so I've taken that off now. But yeah, all of this was stitched from stash. Not that I'm actually participating in a stitch from stash as such, but I've got so many little scraps of fabric, as discussed before, and that I may not find the colours necessarily appealing to me, so I've bought some dye and I've just gone a bit mad and just dyed. They're no loss to me, because if I'm not going to stitch on them as they are, then I may as well take the risk and see what they come up as dyed. And I've been really happy with my results so far. So, but yeah, even down to this fabric I already had in stash, and it's just repeated on the back there too. So yeah, my little Valentine. And that was found, it's a freebie pattern that's on the Primitive Hare blogspot, and I will put the information for that down on the bottom. So that's my Valentine. So that is my sort of fully finish for this month. Leading on from the dye-in, I suppose, I'm just going to quickly show you these. A lot of the, I might know the count roughly, but in the dyeing process sometimes they shrink. But a lot of this I'm just really showing you on how certain fabrics can dye up or change, or if there's certain things in your stash that you know, if you'd like to give dyeing a go. If there's certain things in your stash that you know you're not going to be using because it's just not your bag, then dye it, because what have you got to lose? If you're not going to use it anyway, then, you know, so play with the dye on it. So that's what I was doing. Now I've obviously got lots of plans to stitch a lot of little ornaments and things, because I tend to do really big projects, or certainly sort of the Nora Corbett size, which really need to be framed and have out on display, or even if it's seasonal, which is fine, but it means that I kind of miss out on the little ones. So that's where I've sort of refocused, and I make sure that I try and get a little piece finished or working on that's a little bit seasonal, and I'm looking out for the smaller pieces as well. The quick finishes, they don't take too much time away from my focus pieces, which are still generally large, but you know, it's nice to have little finishes as well. It's quite good. So this is one of the pieces, and these will be used for ornaments. So like I said, they're not even that big on their own, but this will be the equivalent of like 2 pieces. So because a lot of the patterns that I'll be stitching will be prim, this works for me. So, but yeah, so I'm just going to quickly show you some of these, because there's no point saying what they will be. I don't know if some of them show. Some of them are a little bit more mottled than others. The linens tend to take the dye a lot more than others. This one looks like something you would throw in the bin as a rag, but I love it. And this I know was a witch elm, and it's because it was super stiff, and it was a raw colour type. But yeah, I mean, this looks like something that looks like it's been overused. But I just think it will be great, especially for little prim patterns and stuff. So, and this one's a good example of things that's definitely worth dyeing. Now this is a lot larger. The colour, originally, this was just a solid colour. I mean, I like playing with colour, but this was bright. It was almost like a neon coral. It wasn't even pink, it was like a coral yeah, coral would be the best description. And I thought, with the best intentions, there is very little I'm going to be able to stitch on that is going to work. So I actually just put some dye on it, and now it doesn't seem so bad because it's a bit more mottled, and although still it is still quite bright, I'm much more likely to stitch something on that now. It's a mottled piece, so those sort of fabrics are ideal. This one wasn't as successful purely because obviously I've put a brown dye on what was already a brown fabric, and it has, you probably can't see, but it has got some modelling in it, but I have got a really dark brown, so I may attack it with that and go from there. But this one's got a very slight modelling. This was like a medium brown. So yeah, that's sort of my little dyeing experience, and it's been really informative, you know, and how the different even weaves or linens take, and how much time, and if I used it as a learning process, because if I then decide I would really like to have this colour but I can't seem to find it in any of the hand dyes or anything, then I've got a rough idea of how the colour's going to take and this sort of thing. So yeah, it was a learning process, but I will definitely use those anyway for small ornaments and things. So learning process where it actually gets used too. Talking of learning small projects, obviously I was away at the beginning of the month. We went for a weekend away to Stratford-upon-Avon, which is Shakespeare country. It was where he was born, and it was just a short weekend, but it was really nice. And I took some stitching with me. I think I didn't even stitch on it for one night properly, but it is a primitive hare pattern, and it's Ostara. And this was a piece that I'd pre-hand dyed to take with me, but just so that I haven't got a picture of the pattern, it's a digital one. But this, I know what the linen was before I dyed it. So this, I know, is 32 count Murano Zwaigart, and it was in lilac. And I just, as you can see, I just added a little bit of brown, and it sort of mottled it up a little bit. This will be turned into a pillow, very much like the one I did last month for Awakening. And I really like the colours on this one. So as you can see, it says Ostara, and there's like butterflies and little bunnies. It's like the spring equinox pattern. So the only change I will say I had to change because of my fabric choice, you wouldn't have to change otherwise, was that the Ostara, one of the DMCs that was like recommended to be used, was pretty much exactly this colour. So I took it 2 shades lighter. So I will put that information down on the bottom, but you wouldn't have to do that if you stitched it on either the recommended fabric or something very similar to the recommended fabric. It's purely because I chose to stitch it on something completely different, so therefore I had to switch out one of the flosses because it matched the background colour of this one. So yeah, so I did a tiny bit of stitching on that one when I was away, but yeah, it's really sweet. But I know that this started off as it doesn't even look that lilac-y, I don't think, but you can kind of see it here. It actually was, I knew what fabric this was, whereas with a lot of the others, I've picked them up in sort of job lots of fabric, and where some of it I know is either 32 count Belfast in antique white or cream, but they throw in a couple of other pieces on eBay and things, and it's not always that clear what things are. And if that's the case, then there's not much, because I don't know what they actually are, and if I wasn't a big fan of the colour, hence like that bright coral one, then I may as well play around with it and dye it. So yeah, so that was that little piece that was started, and that will be finished soon, ready for the spring equinox. So then we come to what my focus piece was for this month. Now, normally I follow the Stitch Mania sales, but this month I had a work in progress that didn't really fit into the rest of the year, and I didn't want to neglect it. I want to try and work on the pieces that I've got at least as a focus piece at once in the year. So I decided not to follow the Stitch Mania, which is February fandom. Even though I had patterns and things that I could do with that, I was like, no, I'd rather work on work in progress and get some work on that. And this has actually come, excuse if there's any banging, this has actually come a lot further on than I expected. So this is the Cuore, Cuore batticuore summer garden. And I will insert a picture of where it was the last time you saw it, so I'll do that here. And this is where I'm at now. Now, I don't know what it is, but with easier patterns, and this pattern is so clear and easy, I couldn't recommend it enough, but for some reason I mess them up and go wrong all the time, and I've done that and I don't 100% know where I've gone wrong on this. So for me, it's almost like damage limitations. I just need these little blocks now just to relatively match up, and then because somewhere I've miscounted and it would mean ripping a whole lot out, and it's just, I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to fudge it. So this is where I'm at. So as I said, I've actually come quite far along, because I believe the last time you saw it, I'd had lavender done, I had the poppy done, and I was working on the sunflower. I've actually managed to get the sunflower done. I've managed to get the daisies done. And then, because on the daisies I knew somewhere I'd gone wrong, but I couldn't work out where I was, where I'd gone wrong on the daisies, which means I've potentially gone wrong somewhere else. Which I just thought, right, just get them to match up. So that's why I went up to do, they're the cornflowers, and underneath will be the bellflowers. So if I can just get the borders to match up now, I will be happy. And equally, ideally, there's not much left of this month, but if I can try and get this finished this month as well, otherwise I'm going to have to leave a note in the project, because I don't know when I'm going to be picking this up again, to go, look, basically I've counted somewhere off, so you may have to finagle it to get it to work, to get it to match up, so that when I go back, which potentially could be in a year's time, I'm not going to be looking at it going, well, that doesn't make sense, because that doesn't work. So, but yeah, if I can try and at least get that border in of the bottom flower, then it will make, if I do then have to go back to it, then all I know that I'm just filling in the middle and just go from there. So yeah, so I have actually got quite far with this one, and I'm really pleased with the colours. I intend this to be a wall hanging. I've never made one of those before, but you know, that'd be good. So as long as I get it finished, if I could get it finished and then get it fully finished for June, so June, July, August, then I can have it up and for the summer months. But yeah, I'm really pleased, and I love the boldness of the colours, and it's exactly what I wanted. So this is on 32 count, Belfast linen. It's in the colourway vintage blue. As discussed before, it's the type that's printed on the front, but it's blank on the back, so it's a printed fabric. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how far I've managed to get, and I think the only reason I've managed to get that far is because I had last week off, and although I had loads of tasks to do in the house, as in painting and stuff, we ended up not having the right paint, and I was feeling really rough. So in a way, it was a lazy week, which was great, except I wish I had a lazy week and felt great during that lazy week, as opposed to feeling rough, because it's just not nice. Excuse me. Yeah, just not nice. So yeah, so that's where I am at with that, and that will be, other than the Monday today and I think one more Monday, that will be my focus piece until March 1st. Now, as I said, that I was away at the beginning of the month, and we went to Stratford-upon-Avon. It was beautiful. Recommend anybody to go, even in the winter. Obviously you don't appreciate the flowers because there's not that many out unless it's snowdrops, but it was really nice, and we're probably going to go back in the summer so that we get to feel the two different like seasons in Stratford-upon-Avon. But we went to, one of the days we went to Warwick Castle. Now, ironically, on Stitch Mania, someone posted a picture of a tapestry that's hanging in Warwick Castle, and it was in regards to, it was a lovely tapestry, beautiful tapestries, and it's really hard to get the feel for them because they're literally they use them like wall coverings, so they cover the whole of the wall, the equivalent of wallpapering, but in tapestries. I mean, the work is immense. But also, as in the case, and that's what was discussed on that post, is that well, certainly in the UK, I should imagine there'll be a lot of other places that will do this too. Is that because of some of the things are very old, very very old. There's a no flash policy, and that's to make sure that the works of art, whether that be paintings or whether that be tapestries or any fabrics, don't diminish with the constant light being flashed. So I totally understand and respect that. That's conservation of artifacts is obviously well up my street, but it does mean that it's really hard to take pictures of things. And obviously I love walking around, in this case it was a castle, and looking at its usage through the ages, and but it means that it can be quite difficult to take pictures, and particularly I'm looking out for needleworks or any form of like fabric and textiles and things, yeah, so but I did manage to find in one of the bedrooms, because it was being used up until into like 1930s, although it was all kept perfectly, the windows were open, and obviously it was letting in a beautiful amount of light. So I managed to take a picture of it's a fire screen. Now I'm assuming it, because it didn't have any write up with it or anything like that, because it was probably dated around like the Victorian era, so late 1800s to 1900s. But obviously I tried to get as close as I could to take a picture, just so to share sort of some of the needlework that was there. So this is a picture of a fire screen. It looks like it's had silk printing. It's slightly diminished, of a beautiful lady in the front, but the embroidery is around the outside. So I'll be inserting two pictures. One is so that you get the idea of roughly how big it is, because it's sort of standing in the fireplace, and then I've tried to go as close as I can to take a picture of all the beautiful embroidery and needlework. So I'll insert those two pictures here for you, which I'll put in now. So hopefully you liked seeing those. I love looking at art generally, whether that be with painting or sculpting or whatever, but obviously needlework I have an interest in too. So yeah, that was really the only good picture I could show you, half decent picture that I could show you, that because it had they had the windows open and the shutters open so that all the light could stream in. So what my plans are for next month. Now on Stitch Mania it is History in Stitches, which when I see that come up I was like, oh, there's so many options. I obviously, as you know, I like samplers, whether that be like a reproduction sampler or whether that be something based on something else. I like that sort of style of thing. So I was like, I've got so many options that I could pick, and I didn't really have anything that's already a work in progress that sort of fit that History and Stitches theme. because creation's religious, Sleepy Hollow's a legend. So it's not necessarily history as such, and they're not reproductions of old samplers. So I thought, where could I go with this? So I decided to take it quite literally. So I've gone through, obviously, all the stuff that I've got, and sort of pulled out stuff that I was thinking, well, that fits. And obviously the stuff that I've got is stuff that I want to stitch. So it's not like I'm going, oh, I'll only do something that will fit. We've had that discussion before. I'm not going to go over again. But yeah, so... Oh, I did make this project bag as well. So I suppose I've actually been reasonably busy. But I did find something. And it was from the Sampler, and I'm looking over here, sorry, Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly magazine. I will put the information as to exactly what magazine issue that is down below, because I've not been organised and I haven't found it. But I printed this off so that you would get a rough idea as to what it's going to look like. So it's called the Restoration Sampler. And obviously in the restoration it's actually referring to the monarchy restoration. And it's Charles II. So yeah, this one was actually designed by Sally Hesketh of England. And she designed it basically on the principle that it's a sampler very similar, so it's not a reproduction sampler, it's her design, but it's a sampler similar to the sort of samplers that would have been around at the time, except they wouldn't have been necessarily royalist sympathisers, because obviously at that time we was being run by Oliver Cromwell, who was not part of the general monarchy pass on. Charles I was executed, so then it went to Oliver Cromwell, and then it went to Charles II. He was basically reinstated, hence the Restoration Sampler. So this is based on, he was reinstated in 1660, although there was lots of battles in between. So it's got interesting facts like there. She's added the Bosco Bull Oak, which is supposedly where he hid up, well, Charles II hid up a tree when he was losing the battle to escape from the parliamentarians. So yeah, I just thought that'd be really interesting. And obviously I printed that off because I wanted to stitch it anyway, but I thought I've taken it quite literally, history in stitches. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be stitching. Now, it does actually say, let me just have a quick look. There is something like 26, I think it says. There's like 26 different styles of stitching. So most of it is speciality stitches, it's not cross stitch. So that will obviously slow me up. Oh no, 26, slightly exaggerating. A variety of 12, only 12, stitches are used to work this master stitchery designed by Sally Hesketh of England. Yeah, only 12. Well, that's made me feel a bit better. But yeah, so a lot of it is all satin stitches and things like that. So that's going to slow me up anyway, because some of these stitches I've never done before. It is also recommended to be stitched on 28 count platinum cashel. I'm not stitching it on that. I'm stitching it on a piece of fabric that I already have, which is vintage June, but it is a 32 count. I don't know whether you can see that. It needs to be ironed. It's one of those where it's printed on the front and it's just like a plain colour on the back. But the best way to describe it is it's like a grey stone mottling. So I figured that would be just about right. I didn't necessarily want to go primitive as in lots of browns and things, so I've gone for so that the colours will look really bright on here and stand out. So I've gone for more of a very neutral stone. So I had this piece. This is a piece that my husband bought me for my birthday, not last year, the year before, so it may as well get used. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be stitching it on. So that's my plan of action for History in Stitches. Let me just put that away so we don't lose anything. History in Stitches next month, and I'll see how far next month is going to be very busy for me. It's my husband's, he's having a big birthday party, and I've got to make stuff for the party, and yeah, so exactly how much stitching I'm going to get done next month I'm not 100% sure, but it will get started. So yeah, and I'll put the information for this sampler down in the information box below. But like I said, it is from the magazine Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly, and I use the DVDs, which is hence why I don't have the magazine. So I will tell you what issue it actually is, and then also what DVD you can find that issue on, just in case you have those DVDs. So yeah, I think that is everything that I need to say. Thank you so much for subscribing, for sticking with me, for watching. Any comments that I haven't commented on already from my last video, as this is uploading, I will go back and comment. So thank you very much for your very kind and very very sweet comments. It's really nice to hear from you all, and I hope you have a wonderful stitching month until I see you next month. Take care of each other and take care of yourself, and I will speak to you soon. Happy stitching, guys. Bye bye.